Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. We were discussing on meditation. We discussed about the four pathway to reach the goal. What were there? That was Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge. Bhakti Yoga, the path of love and devotion. Karma Yoga, the path of selfless devoted action. And Hatha Yoga or Raja Yoga, the path of mysticism. Now, people have very misconception how they generate, maybe from the story or something like that. You know, whenever I travel in any place by any public vehicle, maybe the public vehicle for the elites or the public vehicle for the common. Same question, what you eat when you get up. And you know, by the grace of, I will tell these things, that all the misconception about the spiritual life and the spiritual person, they generate. And they think that this is a very absurd path, something very different path from our own regular life. And this is not our cup of tea. So they keep distance with the spirituality and the spiritual persons. They generate some or develop some ideas, and because out of their tamas, generally, what about people generate their spiritual habit? It's out of their tamas. Maybe they have simplified or they have made very hard things. They do fasting 3 days a week. Today is Mangalvar, Hanumanji, Budvar, this one, Guruvar, that one. My God. So misconceptions and ignorance have provided today the superstitious belief in us that religion or spiritual perfection is mostly available only to a few strange individuals. The present day generation thinks that in order to gain this perfection, it is necessary that they should run away from life into the jungles, and that they must live an inhuman life, there amongst strange, bedfellows, facing circumstances unnatural and superhuman. By the grace of WhatsApp, people sometimes make videos, create videos, because spirituality and religion is a very big business nowadays. They take some, Buddhist monasteries video where the monks are walking with their own tigers as we pet our dogs. So people start thinking spirituality means petting tigers, they should have to be in the jungle. And many times people ask me, do you then up in the Himalayas milk your own tigers? And so on. These wrong impressions are only the stink rising from the dustbin of our own ignorance. It is not a fact that the Bibles of the world have ever sanctioned for man such a diverse form of life or diverse from life. It may recommend a temporary retreat and advise the individual to have a quieter place for the higher contemplation. Even this is only for a few special ones, and that too for a fixed time. But religion is not an existence divorced from life. It is only a method of quiet searching and deliberate self adjustment, whereby an individual so cultured and affected can come back to the world to face it more efficiently and more fully. In the four paths so far we discussed, we need not be great philosophers or scientists or logicians, nor need we be great psychologists to understand that the attempt in all of them is to gain a greater control over the mind. Any practitioner in any one of the paths in the spiritual scheme will certainly come to have a greater mastery over his own mind. And this mastery over the mind ends in a greater and surer integration of his personality. The more one gets integrated in the mind, the more dynamic becomes one's intellect. Clear? Now, what is the role of self-withdrawal? Be it through devotion or be it through logical re-evolution of the world of objects and the factors of individual personalities called discrimination, Viveka Vichara in Vedanta. Be it through selfless action karma yoga, or be it through psychic exercises, Raj Yoga or Hatha Yoga, whatever be the method pursued, the seeker thereby gains a sufficient amount of withdrawal from his natural dissipations, and his mental energies are conserved for some higher purpose. This state is called in the Hindu scriptures as pratyahara. Clear? Withdrawal, self-withdrawal. To understand these terms as something strange and unusual is not to understand them rightly. In fact, every one of us in our own walks of life has to a large degree this capacity of self-withdrawal or pratyahara from all distracting mental preoccupations. Without this, nobody can succeed in any profession in the world. Every successful man at his desk must be experiencing this self-withdrawal when he forgets everything about himself except the piece of work in hand. To that extent, we may say that all of us have a certain amount of pratyahara, even without its systematic practice. Our mental energies generally get exhausted because of our mental dissipation. Self-withdrawal immediately produces extra dynamism in the mind, which is to be carefully conserved and made use of for the constructive purposes in the within. In the religious methods, the energy so distilled out is made use of in concentrating the mind on a divine object of contemplation, which has in its association an inspiring thrill. A mind exposed to this atmosphere of inspiration gains, as it were, an unknown strength for greater and subtler flight. This capacity of the mind to concentrate, when extended in time as well as in its depth of tranquility, is called meditation or dhyana. Clear? The theory of all religions unanimously declares, in the raw sense of a science, that meditation is the process by which we drop all our low values of life and come to discover for ourselves the enduring principles of living. Meditation, by its own mysterious logic, generates in us powerful energy which can be used for reinforcing moral and ethical living. A cure for our mental hysteria, an efficient lubricant in our intellectual movements. Meditation strengthens the personalities in us and give us the inner stamina to free ourselves from the follies and foibles that vicariously reach us through our false identifications with our body, mind, and intellect. And this is the culture of India. Ours is an age of science. The new India, thrilled with her freedom, is looking forward to a healthy future wherein the maximum number can come to enjoy the maximum amount of peace and happiness in life. Gurudev used to say, the new India, thrilled with her freedom, is looking forward to a healthy future where the maximum number can come to enjoy the maximum amount of peace and happiness in life. From time immemorial, ours has been the land of spiritualism, and the whole world has always been looking up to us to teach them the right ways of living and the true moral standards of behavior. Geographically, India is but a subcontinent, but our spiritual empire has no boundaries at all in the world. Even today, the world is looking up to India with reverence and adoration, not because of our material wealth or the military strength or the manpower or literature, but they are looking up to us as the world monopolists in this great science of living. In no other field can we so immediately come to excel ourselves as in the field of the spirit, since we have a full theory and a complete technique of rehabilitating man as a better social being and a greater unit in nature. The attempts at establishing peace through war have been proved completely to be but a madman midsummer day dream. The melodramatic attempts at bringing about a greater happiness to man merely by a scheme of greater production and better distribution is the most modern experiment which has already been realized as a failure by all subtle, intelligent observers. It is waiting for the common man's discovery. The cynical desperation with which today's thinkers are gasping at the scheme of things in the world before it takes a root and spoils the beauty of the generation's character. It will do good to bring this idea within the understanding of the world. And this great mission can be accomplished only by an awakened Bharat, awakened India that has grown strong in her mortality, firm in her ethics, undevoted in her spiritual strength. Meditation is the way. The technique of meditation can be practiced by everybody without the least effort if the seekers knows at least its fundamental rules. Because of an ancient traditional belief which in later times has been much exploited, the art of meditation has been completely wiped out from our life. Today, we leave our homes to meet the urgencies of our profession and the excitements of our occupation after attending to the cleanliness and the satisfaction of hunger of the body. Unfortunately, we neglect to look to the inner cleanliness of the heart. We criminally neglect to tune up our mind and intellect, although we have already seen that we experience the world through these two instruments. Long neglect converts even the greatest garden into the wildest jungle. Lifelong neglect of the inner courtyard of man, the mind and the intellect, makes it equally a jungle full of crawling vipers and poisonous weeds. When the individuals are thus ulcerated within, that leprous generation can have only a painful social, national, or international existence. Any attempt at bringing about a greater world of happiness without rehabilitating the individual personalities is an attempt that is futile. A strong edifice cannot be built with poor bricks. A happy world is not constituted of maladjusted members. Any attempt at rebuilding a community or a nation or a world is to be started with a careful rearing up of the individuals themselves. Nothing can so surely accomplish this as efficiently and completely as religion can. If we rightly understand dharma or religion to be the science of self-perfection. The technique of dharma or religion in a word is meditation, and how it is pursued we will not merely discuss but shall learn through practice and come to experience the knowledge of it. The Upanishads, constituting our Sanatana scriptures, are the sacred books that give this secret knowledge to their faithful followers of acute intelligence, deep devotion, and an adventurous daring. Hari Om Tat Sat.